My name is Dr. Tyler Dobos. I am the chiropractor and head strength coach here at Baseball Development Group in Toronto. So I've been here for a little over 4 years now. I was the first employee ever hired by BDG. And as I graduated through chiropractic school, I started to take on a bigger role. So now I'm now with Steve Oster-Agon. I'm our head performance coach. So as far as my experience with biomechanical assessments with pitchers, we had our own in-house framework that we used for the first couple of years, where we were looking at some rear leg mechanics. We were looking at positioning at like foot plant. Beyond that, it was very much broken down into it looks good, it looks okay, and it looks bad. And so now that we've got more access, we're starting to change our whole approach, and we're starting to break things down more on a joint-to-joint basis. So we're looking more at velocity and angles now. Beyond just assessing, the baseball players, I have a lot of experience working with just joint range assessment and biomechanical assessment of players outside of baseball. A lot of stuff covered in school. Why PitchAI? That's a good question. PitchAI has been a revolution for everything that we've been doing. I just talked about how we used to just look at players and try and break stuff down just based on what we see. And that's kind of insane that we were doing that up until, several months ago. And being able to actually throw some objective data onto the pitching motion and being able to do that without needing a multi-$1,000 lab is groundbreaking. It's unbelievable. And I'm shocked that we didn't try and use something or someone didn't come up with it sooner, because it's definitely been a glaring issue. So whenever analyzing a pitcher, the first thing I tend to look for is their MER value. So how much shoulder external rotation they're getting at peak. And then I'm also looking at their torque value. So a lot of how I've been using PitchAI has been correlating on-table findings with their mechanics on the mound and trying to see, if things make sense as far as why a player might have higher stress, why they might be injured, why they're coming back, certain drills that we could use that may impact those metrics more. So definitely those two are the two that jump out at me. Pick out one measure. I think it would be the torque value. I think that has some really far-reaching implications. Certainly, as a baseball coach, you want to try and decrease stress about the arm. But because I have the background in therapy as well, like the whole rehabilitative spectrum revolves around how much stress you have about your arm. And so, I think it's going to be massively important, and something that is now available to youth players that maybe was only reserved for players who are at the college level. And so being able to see at a young age what players' torque values are like, I think is awesome. Well, I think that touches on my previous point a little bit, in that we can now monitor changes throughout puberty and measure changes across someone's physical development. And so a lot of the times what you'll see players jump around with their mechanics as they're starting to get used to their new body as it grows. And I think that being able to monitor that as they're growing older gives us a lot more insight into what needs to be fixed, what they're doing really well, so that we can train them when they're the most vulnerable to adaptation. I do think that there is a really big opportunity here for therapists and for the rehab spectrum. Like most therapists, be them physios, chiros, um, even medical doctors, we have an idea of what good biomechanics looks like. And sometimes you'll have a parent show you a video, a slow motion video of your kid throwing, and that can be really helpful. But the amount of crosstalk and the amount of knowledge transfer between pitching coaches and therapists and doctors, uh, because we can all share the same objective, like the same objective data now, I think that that is um, a massive market and like a big area for players to continue to get healthy and to improve their health long term.